we're good. We're going.
Yeah.
Okay. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Fear Podcast. And today we're gonna be talking about the allure of fear. So, yeah, let's get started. Jayla, what kinds of books or movies have you seen that had fear in it?
I've seen movies like Wallace and Gromit in the Were Rabbit um and also like and also movies like Goosebumps and the
Ooh,
Shining.
Goosebumps. Goosebumps is a good movie.
They both
Some of
have
the
yeah.
movies Some of the movies you said, I don't know what movies they are, but can you explain like how they had fear in them?
They all had like both of the movies had a form of fear called like they both had like foreshadowing, and it gives
Mm.
like fear because I we know what's it's like foreshadowing. Like we know what's like we
Uh-huh.
can see that what's coming like in Goosebumps where like the doll is like sneaking up behind the main character.
Oh,
We see
or like when
that.
or when like the werewolf is like going in the grocery store and stuff.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, and then like we
yeah.
see it, but our main character
Mhm.
doesn't, so we can
Yeah.
foreshadow what's happening, and it's pretty scary. And
Mhm.
if we think about like what's gonna happen to them, or what could possibly happen to them, and we don't even know what that
Yeah.
character will do. We just know that they're there.
Mhm. That's true. That's true. Have you seen any or read any books about fear, or just like that had fear in them too?
I read The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells that
Mm.
showcased the allure of fear by where someone is given a lot of power and it causes them to have greed and use their power to act to threaten other people and
Hmm.
make the whole city fear them basically.
Oh.
And the main character here, the Invisible Man, was a very well renowned scientist who went
Hmm.
by the name the Stranger in the first few chapters. Was after he created his potion of becoming invisible, he wanted some sort of revenge on the scientists of Dr. Kemp and Dr. Marvel for not very sure,
Mm.
but he went in order to get his revenge and also have dominance. He went to parlors and bars and scared people and made them fear him basically
Mm.
to assert dominance.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think like the a fear factor is like just like having like quiet, like making things quiet, right? And making things like
Yeah.
exaggerate, like creaking floors and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the quiet place where they have like a wooden floor and it's creaking and all this stuff, but they have to be quiet. It has like fear because like the monsters hear the sounds, right? So
Yeah.
so when they exaggerate the sounds, even though it may not be like loud in in real life, if that happens, it's loud in the movie because they exaggerate it. So anything that happens, we think like the monsters could show up. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and like the Invisible Man, since he was invisible and he wore a lot of cloth and he wore a suede black hat, it was very hard to tell who he was, and he wore glasses on top of that, so it was hard to tell who he was. And
Mm.
the creaking made people fear, and they because they didn't know where it was at, and people just went crazy
Yeah, I
and
think
fight.
people are afraid of like the unknown, because like that's why some people are scared of the dark. Not gonna lie, I used to be scared of the dark because like you can't
Yeah.
really use your senses. Like when people's senses are gone, I think it's just like instinct that people are afraid of stuff. That's why
Mm.
like the darkness is scary because like you can't see anything around you, so you don't know what's there. So anything could be there. That's why like in movies, like when they use like a flashlight or something in the dark and something like is there, it's kind of scary because you wouldn't have known it was there if they didn't use like a flashlight, right?
Yeah, and if you didn't, and also when in like the book also has a movie. You
Mm.
people like there's a lot of like these like the Invisible Man made a lot of sounds. Like when he was in the office and lab of Doctor Marvel, he knocked over beakers to kind of to bait to Doctor Marvel, and then he threatened
Mm.
him with a gun, and we
Oh,
didn't, and he didn't know. He like did not know who. Like he did not know where it was. He didn't know who it. He knew who it was actually, because he again was in
uh-huh.
the science field. But he didn't know where he came from or how he got here. So that was very
Yeah.
scary for him.
I think I think like just having characteristics like characteristics can have fear, like how you said like the person's invisible. Like if you just see like a floating object, you feel scared because that's like unnatural, right?
Yeah.
But in my book, The Thief of Always, there's like this guy who's, I forgot his name. I forgot, but like he's like he's like an unknown character to the main characters, and people they don't see him ever because they're in like this house, right? And there's like other people in the house, but they talk about this guy like he's a myth or like a mystery, right? And then when they try to leave the house, that's when he shows up and he has characteristics like he has wings and jaws and like all this stuff that is just that is just scary because it
Uh,
has the intent of like killing, you know?
oh, so his appearance is what
Yeah.
created those factors of really a
Yeah.
dominating fear.
Yeah. Yeah. And also I think again going back to like the unknown, like because of the characteristics he had, like they were to the main character that's like an unknown creature. That's like it looks like a human but it's not a human, and when something just looks unnatural or is unnatural or people don't know about it, like it's unknown, that's when people are scared because they don't know if they're in danger or or if they should be worried or anything like that. Like if you see like a polar bear, like a baby polar bear, you think, oh, it's cute and all that stuff, right? But then you see the like mom polar bear with it, and again you think it's cute, but in reality it can cause fear because y- people know people know that polar bears they look nice, but in reality they're terrifying. But that's the thing, we don't
Mm-hmm.
people who don't know about it, they they're like clueless, but people that know, they're more scared. That's why I think sometimes knowing stuff is also scary because like in movies like Goosebumps, when the werewolf is there, people like we see the people like scared, right? But like, and the werewolf is trying to find them, but we don't, but they it doesn't know where it is or where the people are, but we do, which is kind of scary because we know at any moment the werewolf could find them. because honestly they were hiding in plain sight and it was just kind of obvious where they were, but like it's just scarier. It's just scarier to like know stuff sometimes because
And yeah,
you just don't know what the other person's or what the thing is thinking, you know?
yeah, you don't know the other person's or object's intention to see the goosebumps are literally
Hmm.
like they're little
Yeah,
dolls.
yeah, yeah.
And they're like enchanted or something. So
Not gonna lie, I think dolls are terrifying. Not gonna lie, that's just me, maybe, you know, but
like the Annabelle
pretty
doll.
scary. I don't want to think about that, bro. Chucky, oh my goodness, that's scary. That scares me. Also, clowns are scary because like you see a clown, right? And their
Yeah.
intention is to be all happy and smiling, right? But in
Mhm.
reality, we don't know what the clown is thinking. We like
In
it
yeah.
like
In
it's
2018,
like
yeah. Um.
it's all like smiling, right? But in our mind, like we don't know what it's the clowns are thinking. Like it's wearing like a clown is basically like wearing a mask, like to hide their true selves. Well, in the movies at least, and that's what makes them scary. In my personal opinion,
Yeah, and like
but
also in 2015, 16, when there was a lot of clown attacks, and
oh
also there's a
my
lot of
goodness.
crimes that relate to clowns, like the Burger Man, who we will not talk about. His crime was very
Oh,
devious, and he did not care
I
about it.
remember. I remember when I was younger, I saw those things, and any clown I saw, I was scared. Like when we had Halloween, right?
Yeah,
Obviously, people were gonna dress up as like clowns, right?
yeah,
I saw, I was giving out treats at home, opened the door, saw a clown. I was terrified. I was so
yeah.
scared.
Especially after
I
that stigma.
I honestly thought it was gonna kill me, but it was fine. They were like trick or treat, and I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah,
Like
especially yeah.
it's just things that you like if you know something, sometimes knowing something might like the knowledge you have might not be true, like or it might correlate to something else, like with the clown stuff, right? That stuff was true, but it's not like every single clown was out to
Mhm.
kill you, right?
Yeah, it's just
But
yeah.
just
People were
just the
set under
thought of it,
protection. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
after all these crimes that happened with people who dressed as clowns and also the internet and the sensation that
yeah.
when someone dresses as a clown they will hurt you. Kind of people knew, but they also don't know what someone like intentions are. It's kind of pretty fearful.
I think the internet has made people fear stuff more because like the amount of information we get now, we get so
Mhm.
much information, like anything that crazy that happens goes around the school super fast and everybody knows, and I just think that's a little scary knowing that because
Yeah.
sometimes as a kid you want to just be innocent, not really think about
Mhm.
stuff, like you want to be carefree because you don't want to think about like how scary the actual world is, you know,
Yeah.
like
And
it's
like
just
yeah. Oh, and with
having
AI.
knowledge about stuff, having knowledge about stuff is just kind of scary because it makes you wary about everything
Yeah, it makes you
in the
make more
world
cautious.
when everything in the world isn't like all scary. It's just the information you get makes it seem scary.
And like also with AI, people
Yeah.
people make like videos and pictures, and it causes like widespread panic and for
Hmm.
absolutely no reason. And it's like fake, and it turns out to be fake. Just people just get really scared. Even though our books and a majority of our movies actually don't have were never like or like all like the dolls from like Goosebumps or like Chucky, even though they
Mm-hmm.
weren't
Yeah.
around during like the internet times, if like they they have a really deep like history, I per se, dating back to
Yeah.
like hundreds of years, and just like knowing
Mm-hmm.
that like they and it's like them being like people like actual children, and like that kind of fear alone from back then was very like it's just knowing it's old, like even like the scent, like knowing something's old, like the Invisible Man, like this is from
Mm-hmm.
it's from like the 1800s, around 1850s,
Yeah.
about about a scientist who gone mad and greedy. Like that's pretty fearful
I
alone.
think yeah, I think also the fact that people like manipulate like the knowledge, like some things you don't know are true or not. Like for example, COVID, people are gonna be like, there was a pandemic and all this stuff and it was horrible. We had to wear a mask and all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
But in reality, for us, we were
we're just
just
on
chilling
TikTok.
at home. Yeah, exactly. You're just on TikTok. I think just like the information we get sometimes, like just knowing that you don't know if it's true or not can give you fear because you're like, how do I know if it's true or not? And then
Yeah, you have
if
that
you,
stigma. You have that stigma on you, and then
yeah,
cautious on you for like a really long time until your question is answered.
hmm and then and then when you're and if you're always cautious, things can be even scarier because like in the movies when there's like a cautious person and it's like a creaking floor, they just get scared by anything, which that just gives you fear alone. So honestly, everything just anything
Right.
could give you fear.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
like
yeah,
even like going back to your dolls thing, like dolls are meant to be like fun, you play with them, but they can be they can be scary when movies manipulate like what the dolls do and how they act, what they are, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I went down a rabbit hole on on TikTok, and where dolls they act like they have they communicate via like you need a special walkie-talkie, and then they can communicate with you. Like that's even creepier. Like
Mhm.
knowing that like they can, if it's very old, like even if the doll's like new, unless it's like an American Girl doll, people will have a very
Uh-huh.
big stigma around them because they're known for being very creepy and haunted, and something
Mhm.
children used to have mostly in 1800s to 1990s.
Yeah. I think it's just because it's like the older we or like the older history is, the more like stuff is unknown to us, right?
Hmm.
So like going back to like the 1800s, right? Dolls and stuff. We don't really know what happened back then, but we just hear stuff about it that
Hmm.
we just
And
use that knowledge and we just think about how that is, and that like can be fearful because like we don't know, and it's like going back to like we don't know what we don't know. Like it's just scary to think about the unknown stuff because we just don't know what to do with it. We don't know what could be out there. We don't know anything and the stuff we do know back then.
right,
Oh, sorry.
you're
Is
good.
it's just like scary to think about
Right.
what we don't know, I guess.
Yeah, and like in like Invisible Man, like we you don't know people's like full intentions. Like no, like science says Dr. Kemp and Dr. Marvel, like they didn't know they didn't think that their scientist who, like their former scientist partner who's a renowned scientist for years, who had like everything, basically, they didn't like knowing how having that power as well to be fearful, like knowing you have the power when you someone who's anyone who's like given the power, especially the Invisible Man, like he abused this power and wants and like exorcism, pretty sure what it's called. Whereas like that's like they make people fear them and threaten people so they can hold people ransom, basically.
Uh-huh.
Just using their power and the greed that they have.
Yeah. Going back to like knowing, sometimes knowing stuff is bad because like think about it, like when you see when you see like a knife, right? And you cut your or you accidentally cut yourself. Sometimes you'll be, when you're a kid, you'll be scared of knives because it hurt you, right? It's kind of like when people like talk about like razor sharp teeth, like as characterization. Like we know like wolves can like bite your arm off with their razor sharp teeth, so we're scared of that. And I think just knowing stuff, like for example in my book, when it talks it it says that the character has like 100 jaws of, or 100 teeth, and like razor sharp teeth. So just thinking about that, and image, and just like image, oh, blah, blah, blah. imagine imagine I can't talk. Imagining the razor sharp teeth is scary because you're,
Mm-hmm.
if you like see in the like in the main character's point of view, there's like a monster chasing you, trying to kill you, and that's just scary to think about, because like what happens if that happens to you, or just something like that, you know?
Right, and like also like back in like class in the beginning of school when we read about this text from Rod Dalf about why people fear, like some people like me, like who like animals, I won't really fear like animals like wolves or like wild dogs or
Mm-hmm.
cats as much as I really like those animals, and I know they all have a soft spot in them. They just have they're
Mm-hmm.
just that it's just their genetics to be
Yeah.
scared and like
Uh-huh.
bite.
Yeah. uh i I think like another thing is like going back to like old stuff, like in Stranger Things. If you watched it, most people have. It's a
I've
really
never
good.
watched it.
Uh, what? Okay, but anyways, it's like it's kind of like 1800s, you know, like 19 or 1800s. Sorry, I meant like
Like
the
the
80s,
70s.
the
Yeah.
1980s or 1990s, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like all this stuff. It's all joyful and all that stuff, but the thing I think about, like, because I I do think about this, like the stuff that is unnatural and stuff like that. But what most people I feel like don't think about are the the people that aren't the main characters, just the regular civilians. They have no clue what's happening, but they, like, we know that there is bad stuff there, right? We know there's unnatural stuff. So I just think it's kind of scary to think about how we could have no idea that there could be danger around us, but other people might know stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which is just kind of scary to think about, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, and like and like one of our other class texts, like Lenore, like her boyfriend or her husband, like I'm not very sure, like he like he practically like prayed. He prayed for, instead of like love, he prayed for money. That's pretty much like bad. And like
Hmm.
and that's how. And then Lenore just died, and he didn't. And that's pretty scary to know
Yeah,
that
kind of like.
someone's greed like killed you. It's pretty fearful.
Hmm. I think also it's kind of talking about how like people like wear masks, hide themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and people don't know it. Like again, he like wanted money, but some people didn't know that. They thought, oh, he just loves her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of like the landlady, where, oh, it's an innocent lady an innocent old
Mm-hmm.
lady who's just
In her
who
house with all her friends.
has like a house and all this stuff, and has guests over, like rarely, but like has guests.
Mm-hmm.
But then later on we're like, oh my goodness, the reason why she doesn't have guests is because the guests she's had have never been seen again,
Mm-hmm.
and
They
it's
all
probably because she's stuffing them, and that's just, ooh, that's terrifying.
like
Ooh.
yeah. The second main character who was a guest at her house was very
Hmm.
shocked and very scared of knowing the fact that the people that she mentioned, she stated that they were still here,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
but nobody was home besides him, her, and and the landlady's husband. And so that's pretty scary, knowing that like she probably has her body somewhere in the house, or she's holding them ransom.
Yeah.
We don't know, and that's pretty scary. Like she might do the same thing to
Hmm.
me.
Yeah.
So
So, yep.
overall, after this conversation, how do you feel, and what do you think the allure of fear means to you now?
I think it like it I think it like means like what, or like, honestly, my opinion still hasn't changed about like scary movies. Still don't like them. Still scared of them. I don't know why people like them, right? But I think it gave me an understanding about why some people like it, like
Mm-hmm.
because it gives you like adrenaline, right? It gives you
Yeah,
a
it gives you
rush.
adrenaline rush, like we
That
talked about.
like that's kind of like why people like roller coasters, right? It gives you a rush, right?
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I still don't like it. Still scares me. And wait, well, I mean, it is a good thing it scares me, but just like I
Not
don't like the adrenaline feeling.
yeah.
But like
Gives you that
I
really
know
good
I know
feeling.
other people do. I know other people do. Like I have friends, like my friend Druthi, who says she loves horror movies, and I'm like, "Oh, why?" But like now that I've or learned about this unit, I kind of understand why she likes them. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
just
yeah, some people are very interested, and they just really like, I think like they people just might like have a keen interest in being scared all the time, and just like knowing creepy things, like especially in like
yeah.
history,
Hmm.
like AP World, I guess, when you learn about like Ivan the Great. I mean not Ivan the Great, Ivan the Terrible, and all the
Yeah.
bad stuff that happened to people of Russia back in like the 1600s. So
Yeah, the history is kind of terrifying, honestly. Like, I remember I was just scrolling through YouTube Shorts, right? Just doom scrolling, right? And then I saw a video that said that the people that built the Great Wall of China, right?
mhm.
There are like soldiers and people that built it that are buried under the wall because of how long that wall took to build. And honestly, just thinking about that,
Mhm.
I could have lived without knowing that, but it's kind of scary to think about, like, just how. how many people died for that wall, but but we some people don't even know that and are just walking on the wall just because it's like, wow, look at this. Look at this wall. How was it built? What happened? But other people know what really happened and just like
Right.
how
Yeah.
much effort it took and how many lives were lost because of it. It's
Yeah.
just scary to think about.
And like knowing, like again, like the allure of fear is very like
Hmm.
real, like really alive when like, especially in history, since a lot of stuff changes in history where people can like delete stuff and stuff, and people might not say anything about things
Uh-huh.
like for example, like Hurricane Katrina. I mean, I knew about everything that people are now learning about Hurricane Katrina, like all the scary stuff that happened,
Yeah.
like bodies being floating in the river and stuff like that. Like I knew that, but that's only the
What?
only way I
I
knew that
didn't
was
know that.
because I had family and
Oh my goodness.
I have family. That's the only way. So if you didn't know someone from Mississippi, New
That's
Orleans, or like
terrifying.
any like that, you wouldn't know about it. Like you wouldn't actually
I
know the real thing.
I had family in New Orleans, but the only thing my family told me about it, or like my dad told me about it, was just like, yeah, it was bad. Business was bad. Businesses
Yeah.
died, and I was like, okay, that's scary. But
Yeah.
because like you just gotta, because I didn't think about like how many lives were lost, because I was just thinking, oh, it's a hurricane, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
And to think like we
hurricanes
also like
happen
yeah.
all the time. But then I didn't realize like how big it actually was and how scary it was just to like be
Yeah.
there.
Like knowing
And it's
like yeah, people were
it's
like hurt and the government like also considering since the government didn't help for a reason we will not get into. That's also another reason why people did not pay attention to the situation. So and it's just people just
yeah.
like people like in Florida like oh it's just a hurricane, but someone across a few hours from them just fearing for their
I think
lives.
I think this goes back to like the unknown, right? Like we we weren't like there when it happened. We weren't born when that happened, right? So we
Yeah.
don't know stuff, right?
Yeah. There's
But it's
yeah.
like some historical events like 9/11, like people, my dad told me like he knows exactly what he was doing when that
Mm-hmm.
when it happened and what happened, and it's just scary to think about because that was honestly in terms of history pretty recent, but we have no clue. Well, we don't. It's not we don't have no clue. It's just we just didn't experience or didn't see it happen. So we just have to go off of what other people say, but we can't say it. We can't just say it on our own experience because like the only thing we have in history is like COVID, and honestly, we can make it out to sound like super scary in later
Right.
generations,
And then we
right?
could just lie
But
about it, and then people will
but
find
like
out the
that
truth.
also but that made opened my eyes and made me think, wait, what other things happened in history that might have been exaggerated? Like, and then that made me like just think about all the unknown stuff I don't know, and I was just like, man, there could be stuff that was way worse or just wasn't as bad. It just there's just so many unknowns that I don't know about.
Right? Yeah. Like it's and there's always like so many gaps in history on like also like
Yeah.
like who's like what happened to the nose off the Sphinx in Egypt. Like
Mhm.
we don't know. Nobody knows anything about that, and we've yet to come
Yeah.
up with anything after hundreds of years. That's kind of
Mhm.
scary. Like anything could have happened, and it's hard.
Go. Yeah, going back to the Allure of Fear, what do you think about it? Did you like horror movies before this unit?
Honestly, I I think like I don't like horror movies. Honestly, I mean, I do watch horror movies, but the ones I watch are very, yeah, they're kind of different. They're very
Yeah.
different. Like, I didn't even know that they were supposed to be fear, like, to have fear in it. But
Uh-huh.
once you go down, like, the rabbit hole, like, down the iceberg of said show, like, Wallace and Gromit, like, I didn't know
Mhm.
about, like I didn't understand when I watched like the first episode, which was like they go to the moon to get cheese. Wallace really
Mhm.
likes cheese. And I didn't
Oh,
know like a
okay.
robot, yeah, a robot was attacking them, and I didn't know why the robot was
What?
attacked. Like there was a robot on the moon, and we had no idea why. I didn't have any idea why they were attacking them. But
Mhm.
also like kind of reminds me like you need to like it's hard like some people don't understand like they don't really have a fear factor. They don't understand because they don't like like think deep about stuff. So I think like with the
Oh
allure
yeah.
of fear, like you gotta think.
Going back to like the Allure of Fear, right? Like the when we first started this unit, another thing we watched a video and they were like, some people do it so they look more brave, right?
Mhm.
But honestly, now that I think about it, some horror movies are just some of them are just not as good if you're not like with friends
Yeah.
because they are right. Like sometimes you just want to like prove yourself to like your friends or something, be like, yeah, I'm brave or all this stuff, right? And or it could go the other way where you're like, did you see that? That was scary and your friend is like, I know, bro, that was terrifying, right? Like it's just sometimes horror movies just aren't the same without friends. Like sometimes it can be scary and if you have your friends, it's even scarier because you're both like worried. Or it can be less scary because you're with your friends and you're like, someone's protecting me, right? It's just sometimes like people like horror movies or people like fear because they they like proving themselves or like proving to their friends or just enjoy the thrill with their friends. So because they also sometimes they just don't want to be left out and alone, like FOMO.
Yeah. But overall, I think the allure of fear really it it really does vary from person to person. Some people
Mhm.
like myself, I'm not a fan, and sometimes I can't even tell if there's fear in it. And then some other times, some people could be like, some people could be like really into it, and it's just like,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
done.
is it at it? Are we
Yeah,
done? Done?
I better been
Should
recording next week. Okay, I was recording. Great.
Okay, should we? I feel like we gotta cut some of it out